Hello there. Over the last couple of days, I have been slowly chipping off all of the sets that we have built over Valentine's, not just reviews, but looking at the wider themes and different mocks that can be built with some of these vehicles, including a few older sets popping up throughout, like Ghost Rider's Dodge Charger. But this video is a compilation of all 9 reviews. Feel free to skip along. I'll try to leave timestamps in the description, and I hope you enjoy it. Strap yourself in, grab your popcorn. This is going to be a long one. The first set we're going to take a look at today is one that I've had in my collection for quite some time, because it's one of the sets that I bought to put on my Bricklink store and ended up keeping all of those, if you missed out on that saga. But it is the City Space Mech. Now this brings up a load of different points because I actually own all of the different little robots from all of these City Space sets. But hello there, Moldy from the future here. Ignore this. Going back to this Lego City Mech, Lego would have you stud down 4 studs onto the bottom of the minifigure, which does pose the risk of cracking the legs over time. And it is just that, a risk. There is never any guarantee with Lego bricks actually breaking under any sort of tension and stress. Well, unless you were to step on this with a life-size mech. But to save your minifigure legs from cracking, especially space minifigures, which are going to be a little more valuable in a few years' time, just for us collectionists, I would recommend placing down a modified 2x2 plate tile with the 2 studs resting over the bum cheeks of our Lego minifigures. It keeps your minifigure on tight enough, even if you don't want to stud it down, a 2x3 tile and just hooking over this contraption at the top will keep your minifigure secure enough for this model to be played with. But just be wary of those front 2 studs connecting across any of your vehicles, and most importantly, make sure you're having fun. Some of you might know we're also expecting to get a Darth Maul mech this year for Lego Star Wars, and I don't think by any means that's going to be the last. It'd be nice if we got at least 2 of them this year. 3 was a bit too much. 1 was very odd to get in the middle of a wave. I think getting like a Darth Maul, maybe even a Kenobi mech with a Clone Wars version of that minifigure would be really, really cool alongside each other and the previous Ahsoka Eater we got earlier this year. But we're going to save the talk to the end of the video. First off, this mech is really, really cool. We've got this engine-like battery on the back, which does wobble a little bit, but needs 2 batteries to power this mech, whereas most of the other contraptions in this City Space collab only need 1 battery, or they have a thicker console in the actual ship. I really like this back and forth. I guess it's some sort of jackhammer drill that they've got, which helps to smash out all of the crystals, which this mech is used to pick up to create more of those batteries. Really, really simple. Really, really blocky, which I like in the City line. I think this wouldn't do as well if this was a Star Wars mech, but I also really, really like the contraption keeping in our minifigure. And speaking of minifigures, the minifigure's pretty cool in the bright light orange compared to just being yellow, which I think would contrast not as good with the actual head of a minifigure. This is actually the 5th City Space minifigure I own, because you'll remember I did get 3 of the Builder minifigure wall, including this exclusive alien with a red torso that's going to go so well with the new ones from this year's modular spaceship. So we already had these 3 minifigures, and I've just realized the back of the space minifigure torso, the one that isn't split into 2 with a color across the chest, has a back very much like the Scout Troopers we see in Lego Star Wars. But I've also switched up the minifigure from my poly bag, which, if you aren't aware, last year we built this little hover bike, which again comes with 1 battery to power it and is a really, really cool build. I switched that up for the more expensive one with the gold and silver arm, taking the chest piece from this space mech here. So hopefully I'll be able to pick up that city spaceship soon, because that looks really, really good. And now onto these side little builds. Each of these sets comes with a little side build. Some of them come with a bit of scenery, which is quite cool. It's a mix of dark tan and this nougaty, maybe medium orange color, and also a little robot, just like this one here. It comes with a sticker. Very few of these actually come with stickers or printed pieces besides the one needed for the battery on the back, and most of these are powered via said battery mechanism. What I like about this one is it includes the same bottom piece here that's used on the back of Luke's X-Wing mech, so I'll be able to build that after this if I do decide to part them out. You've already seen the first poly bag, which came with this little speeder, very similar to to some of the police bikes and the other quad bikes that we're seeing in City Polybags. So that was a really nice touch. They were able to do something a bit more spacified, and then we've also got one that's wheelchair accessible. How nice is that? So they've modified the back. The only problem with this is there's no space for a battery. So I don't know how the battery's meant to go on here, but perhaps the wheelchair has its own power system. Already we're taking a look at 3. There's another 5 more, and I'll try to rank these from worst getting better. And these are by no means bad. So we've got another similar one to the one that I've just shown you here, except for this one flies around in space as opposed to having some treadmill bottom half, but still a very similar build. And both of these are also very similar to the new one we've got in the modular spaceship. There's also a few different like backpacks as well, which fly off as their own drones, but then can aid minifigures a bit more one-to-one. We've got this cute little green guy from perhaps one of the biggest city space sets, at least in the city line of the collab. And I really like the build for the treadmill underneath. We've then got this little robot. This is more of a remote control one, perhaps able to store some crystals inside, used for easy transport, no doubt. And then my favorite of them, definitely something we've seen before in Star Wars, is this little fella here, which does usually have a battery attached on the back. But I just like the way it's built with a ton of the arms, and especially how they've got those extra wide feet, which I'm sure make traversing the galaxy much, much easier. But that is all of the droids from the City Wave so far. Of course, we do have one more in the modular spaceship. I am looking at picking it up sometime soon, so stay tuned for that. And as far as stickers go, this mech only come with 4 stickers. Most of these sets don't actually come with any stickers because these arm tiles are printed, and so are the battery components. Speaking of, if you haven't seen any of these sets before, the actual batteries themselves are a really nice glittery purple, so definitely worth picking up for that piece. Very similar to the brains of the Tri-Droid that we got in this year's battle pack. Going back to Maul's mech for just a second, I think LEGO can do something really, really cool with Darth Maul's mech, because for most of the Clone Wars, even up to the very end, Maul has some mechanical legs, which will look perfect for this style of a build. So that is why I'm so excited for a Darth Maul mech. However, last year we got the X-Wing mech, and I do think linking the mech to the Scimitar perhaps is not as easy as it was for something like the X-Wing. So I definitely want to rebuild that and trying to get some X-Wing Transformers mech, which I am surprised LEGO didn't try to do last year. But in this Maul mech, they have an opportunity to rectify something that has been quite a big issue within the LEGO Star Wars community: Sith eyes. We've recently got a Darth Maul with some Sith eyes, and I'm sure it'll probably be the exact same minifigure released in this mech. However, LEGO really have a good opportunity to release one without Sith eyes and just please everyone in the LEGO Star Wars community. It's not the first time they've released an exclusive minifigure in a cheaper set. For the sequels, most of the minifigures we got were released in cheaper Microfighter and Battle Pack sets, so it's definitely within the budget of LEGO to be doing something like this. LEGO Star Wars, despite what some creators are saying, is not failing anytime soon. LEGO nearly have another 10 years left of the license, and it's only a matter of time before they renew it and go even further with it. So I really would like to see, even though I am a fan of the new Sith eyes and are hoping to get an Anakin with a similar feature, I would like to see them give Maul some more regular minifigure eyes to please everyone who shouldn't be having to fork out £5, £10, £30 just for a custom element. And this cheaper mech set is the perfect opportunity to do so. Speaking of, I would love to get some West Ham sets at some point from LEGO, but I'm afraid right now there aren't any. The closest we've got is the Old Trafford Stadium, which looked like a really cool set when that came out. But at Christmas, I built this football from Brixels, and I showed you another set that I got for over Valentine's. I finally took the time to build because these are LEGO Modulex size bricks, and more on that later on in the video. It just means they're a bit harder and a lot more fun for us grown-ups. But as you can see, we've now also got the West Ham team coach, which does look really, really cool. And I'd love to build something like this in LEGO, except for the fact that it would be like 2-3 times bigger in every dimension, and I'd have trouble fitting it on the camera. You can see there are a few stickers, and before we start, I would like to talk about that, because the stickers are like the old-fashioned LEGO stickers. They've got that clear outline, but it cuts off before the bricks. So I think these would be a lot better as some sort of decal instead, especially for the niche that these sort of sets are aiming for. Football fans of the Premier League, most likely, that like construction toys, I think they could get away with decal. But not only are these bricks Modulex size, there are some Lego size bricks as well. Taking a look at the bottom, not just the wheels. The wheels are the typical fully plastic wheels you expect to see on non-Lego brands, but they're attached to a 2x2 Lego sized plate with a wheel, and better yet, there's then a 2x2 tile on top to keep these in place, covered by a ton of Modulex sized bricks. But I really do like this. I've kept one side sticker free and one side sticker. This would probably be the side I'd have on display, but I think that clean look has also just got something about it that looks really cool. So I'm saving my other stickers. But Lego Modulex is an old architecture theme of Lego that they tried to expand into with even smaller bricks for architectures to use in little model structures, because you wouldn't want something as big as Hogwarts or the Disney Castle when you're trying to show someone what you're trying to build. So it's about half the size, and the thing with Modulex is the bricks didn't work in the same system as Lego. 5 plates tall is 2 bricks wide. These Modulex bricks are based on a cube system. So 1 plate wide is 1 plate tall, and bricks just simply don't exist unless you were to call these bricks, in which case plates simply don't exist. I think this is a really cool technique to try and get some more accurate shapes to Lego, because Lego is known for being quite a blocky texture, not as blocky as something like Minecraft, especially with some of the new rounded pieces. But this ball is more round, more spherical than anything you could build at this scale with Lego, even with the most complex of techniques, unless you get in the Planet series from Star Wars. I guess that probably beats it. But you can't get this level of accuracy because Lego isn't a cube system. It works on a just off ratio, and it does make building these Brixwall sets a lot more fun and interesting. So if you are a fan, or perhaps you missed out like me, you aren't old enough to remember Lego Modulex and perhaps didn't own an architecture business when they came out, though you can find a ton of bricks for a pretty decent price on Bricklink. I think going into sets like Brixwalls is really interesting, just to work with a different system. And again, look how smooth and sleek these sets look. You still get the excitement of building a brick-based set, and these can still both be turned into honestly whatever you want. You could get enough of these and try and build a football stadium, which I have seen they also sell. But as a West Ham fan, I'm so happy to finally have some West Ham Lego, West Ham bricks, West Ham construction bricks. It might not be Lego, but honestly, the name doesn't really change much for me, and I'm happy to have something built for my favourite football team. I think it could be quite interesting if Lego bring back Modulex to some degree, because we all know with Duplo and Lego bricks, they've had their fair share of other size bricks in the past, with Quattro, for instance, and some even bigger education bricks. But this scale of building would be perfect for the Lego architecture line, and Lego are already far enough down the architecture line to want to stay with the Lego bricks so they all look the same, or at least are built off the same building system. But I think if Lego went back to Modulex for their architecture line, we could get some really detailed, really cool structures that have, I guess, the same amount of plastic, maybe a little bit more plastic with the smaller bricks, but so much more detail without having to print and make a load of custom elements. Because that's really what's selling a load of Lego sets. I'm sure you've noticed looking on lego.com and seeing all the brand new elements, especially for the midi scale Star Wars ships and some of the bigger 18 plus models, which is really cool. But all those drawers do not contain even half of the different types of Lego bricks anymore, because Lego are just every single year pumping out so many new elements. We're getting like 20 a month each year. So there is going to be a point where Lego need to tile it down, and they are retiring certain older pieces, but that doesn't necessarily make it any better. And going down, shrinking into Modulex, rather than creating a ton of new exclusive pieces, to be able to get almost double the detail with these half-size bricks. I just want to go back to something I said about this coach, about the Lego tiles on, or the Lego wheel axles on the bottom. And that does show that this is compatible with Lego nano bricks still compatible with Lego bricks. And in theory, anything's compatible with a Lego brick. You just need to have enough of them or a gap big enough to slot whatever you are trying to fit. The fact that this is directly compatible with the Lego size also allows you to add a bit of Lego here. If I wanted to have this door open, I could use a Lego door. No one's going to stop you. And that's one of the best things with non-Lego brand sets. This is the only non-Lego brand we'll be looking at today, but this goes for all compatible brands and competitive brands as well. Mattel are launching their own brick-based building system alongside Mega, which I do believe they also already own. Mega Blocks, for anyone that didn't get that. And Mega actually already have a ton of unique elements for their Pokemon line, which I'm surprised there's so big news around this new Mattel brick release, because their Pokemon sets are in the same scale as Lego, and they've been going on for quite some time. You might remember last year we got some free Pokemon at a Smith's event. So I'll be intrigued to see how Mattel's new brick building system and Lego and all the other competitors are brought together to make the best and most detailed structures. Of course, there are going to be a few of you Lego purists out there that just want to get onto the next set, and stay tuned because we do have 3 full days of set reviews here on the channel that we built over Valentine's weekend. So I hope you enjoy that. I completely forgot to mention whilst I was recording that last video that you might remember the world's smallest brick separator that came with that ball. We've got a brand new one in a different color, and it's something I'd like to see Lego do a bit more often. We've got orange, we've got teal, and there are a few different colors as well as different sizes of these brick separators. But I think it could be really cool if we get themed brick separators in the future. So Star Wars could perhaps have some metallic one. I'm not sure which colors would be best for using as brick separators. I am surprised we haven't seen red, which is kind of known as the most durable Lego piece, at least to me. Pure red is what I see them use for all their different prototypes that's selling on eBay. But whilst we're here, I thought I'd also talk about the instruction manual, because it starts off looking very, very complicated. You have the bill of materials right at the start, and then they split it up into 2 sets, sort of 2 steps per page, and that goes on through most of the book. So I got halfway through the instruction manual, really excited to find out that I wasn't just halfway through, but I was in fact 2/3 of the way through, because then they started switching to just 1 step when we started building up. But you might be able to just about see in this instruction manual there is a big hollow space inside, almost similar to that of the brand new Fortnite Battle Bus. No longer a brand new Fortnite Battle Bus, as it's been out for quite some time, but there's definitely space for you to fit some Lego chairs, attach those to these different studs, and perhaps even have some official Lego plates running between the 2 wheels and get some minifigures inside. So if you'd like to see how many minifigures can fit inside the West Ham team coach, let me know down in the comments, and that will definitely be a video I'll make in the future. As for the box, it's a pretty simple design because this is a West Ham set. We've got that nice claret box, and this is official West Ham merchandise. So if you are a fan of a Premier League team, at least one of the big ones that hasn't newly been promoted, hopefully if your team has been promoted, there'll be some sets soon. If they can stay up long enough, then definitely check out your local stores. They should be on the website, and Brixels does also have its own website. This isn't sponsored, but this was sent to me as a gift for Christmas from a family member, so I'm happy to have both of these. Getting back to Lego now, over Valentine's, one of the sets I got gifted by my partner was this Yoshi bike, which I'm so excited to build. Well, I've already built it as of recording this video, but it's from Mario Kart, comes with a ton of accessories, and I think this is hands down the best set in the entire wave of Mario Kart, which we'll get into looking at in a second. But the reason the spotlight is on this one set is because of not only the accessories it comes with, more specifically the shell launcher. So we're going to save that till last. You do get, of course, a Yoshi bike and a nice blue Yoshi to go into my collection, which might be the first time we've got a blue Yoshi in Lego, but I think this has come out once before. We also get a printed banana this time, similar to the banana piece we looked at last year in the Spider-Man set. I think it also came out in Friends and one of the City Fun Fair rides. It is really nice to be getting that official printing from Mario Kart, banana, and the other accessories we get. Of course, we had to get a question mark block. We couldn't not get any sort of question mark. And I like the way they've chosen the one from the most recent Mario Kart, Mario Kart 8. Alongside this, we also get some cones that the Yoshi bike can drive around and swerve in between. Makes for a really, really cool play feature. And these cones show up absolutely everywhere on most of the Mario Kart track. But like I said, the most fun part of this bike is this shell launcher. In fact, if I can launch the shell without destroying it and sending it flying off camera, you can see when launched, it does kind of have a little spin to it. I'm sure I'll be able to capture this better on camera, but when this is fired, it does slowly spin. I'm not sure if that's something to do with the weight of it or the fact you've got that extra little white clip that connects it to the stud shooter. But it's really nice seeing these new stud shooters used in this way, because studs are so much easier to use, and if they just come with a red and a green stud, it would have been a big disappointment. Now, you've seen the title and you've probably seen the thumbnail, so how's this going to work for a Yoshi shooter? Well, if we take out this shell, I have again built another Mario set to go with this, so we now have an in a million pieces. Thankfully, these guys are tough. We now have a very fragile Yoshi Island. I'm not quite sure where the blue one's going to go. I'm going to have to expand this. But if we take a look at the regular yellow Yoshi, you'll notice the one on the left has a little bit sticking out, and that is because I have taken the red shell from this set. We get both a red and a green shell and attached it to the back of this Yoshi minifigure, only using 2 extra brackets and a tile, which are pretty easy to get for most of these colors for the different Yoshis. But using this, we can now clip our Yoshi into the launcher on the back of the bike and just fire these Yoshis at each other. It's honestly the most fun I've had since Sonic brought out the wheel, which is going to be looked at in a later review. But being able to fire these Yoshis at each other, if you do have this set and you do have a few Yoshis or just a few other minifigures that you can fire these Yoshis at, please do give it a go. And if not, I recommend picking up this bike purely just for the ability to fire your Yoshis at one another. It's a whole new game. I am so surprised LEGO haven't included this as some sort of feature on the box, because I think this is probably the biggest selling point of the entire set. Well, no. And because you do get 2 shells in this set, you can put these in any of your other stud shooters and play this with a partner, trying to knock over all of your minifigures. Very, very similar to some of the fun that I had with the early Ninjago sets, with the spinners, very Beyblade-esque. And even Lego Chima, there are so many fun Lego play features. Like I mentioned, the Sonic Ball as well that we got a year or 2 ago, and being able to fire your Yoshis at each other. Not only is it really, really fun, but the shell also looks a lot better than those round pieces they use on the back of your Yoshis. So I'll definitely look at printing this element for my other minifigures. Because I didn't get this set from an official Lego store, they are still using plastic bags, but it's split up into 3 bags. You get one for the accessories and Yoshi, and then the next 2 for the bike. I'm pretty sure Yoshi is the second bag though. I don't think I built them straight away. Speaking of Yoshi, these aren't all Yoshis. I forget what they're called, but they're colorful Yoshis to me. And the bike itself does have enough pieces to mock together a rough Yoshi. At least if you pop off the head, you've got most of the work done for you. But don't just take my word for it. Here is me actually building a Yoshi minifigure using the head of this bike. And as you can see, you probably are going to need a few other pieces. You could definitely mock together a little Yoshi minifigure, but you should probably use the torso from one of the official minifigures like I've got here in yellow. But the head is pretty much the same as any of the other Yoshi minifigures. And I definitely think if I had enough of these white dome pieces, I'd be replacing all of the 2x2 domes with that element, because it just looks so much cuter than the 2x2 tile. And I think it also pops more for what's otherwise quite a flat 2 brick wide minifigure. But for now, I'm going to put the head back on the bike and taking a look at some of the other features that the bike does have. We've got a load of these little, I guess they're sort of QR or barcode tiles that the interactive minifigures do work with. Mario, Peach, Luigi all fit on this bike as shown at the back of the instruction manual. Yoshi does have some arms that can carry some of the other, I guess, elements like this cone and just be throwing cones. You know, you don't have to abide by Mario Kart laws. This is Lego. Your imagination is the only limit. And the printed pieces, that's right, printed pieces, not a single sticker in this set, which is really, really nice about this Mario Kart Wave and Super Mario in general. 2x2 printed egg, and then these nice dish pieces on the wheels, which have bars actually going into the wheels. I was hesitant to do this when I was building my 501st Bark Speeder bike, but it looks like we've got the go-ahead from Lego. Speaking of, these wheels have stars on the inside, brand new wheel pieces for the Mario Kart line. I expect nothing less from Lego, and overall this bike is really, really impressive. This is only one set from the entire Mario Kart Wave, which is shown just at the end of the instruction manual alongside all of the other Super Mario sets Lego want you to pick up. And I do genuinely think this is hands down the best set of the entire wave. Other honorable mentions go out to the Toad Workshop, which is really, really cool, and also the Mario Kart actual kart. Though it would have been really, really fun to get a minifigure with these sets, not a single minifigure in sight. For people that don't want the interactive builds but want some of these karts, I think Lego could have included a minifigure. Perhaps there's a reason that they're not making minifigures for the theme, though to me, unless we're getting a CMF line, I really can't see why. But that is all for today's review. Again, that feature with the Yoshis, loading them into the gun and knocking them strike. Well, I'll have to part that one together later. Is honestly reason enough to buy this set. So if you are all interested, I recommend picking it up wherever you can find it cheapest. It will probably be on some deals soon with how long it's already been out. Having built the Yoshi bike, I think it's only fair we move on to the next load of bikes, and which Lego theme loves bikes more than Marvel. Not only do I have this Venom bike that I got for Christmas that is nice and built, but last year, January, I also picked up the Motorcycle Chase, which gave us Spider-Man, which I think is a really, really fun duo. But these are not the only vehicles we've got in Lego. Just before we get into all of them, I've recently built a giant red Hulk mech, which you can find, it has its own video here on the channel. And if there's any vehicles of notable significance that show up in Captain America Brave New World, please do let me know, as I'd love to take these apart and build some of the newer vehicles. But I've recently also rebuilt Ghost Rider's muscle car, which does remind me of those Dodge and Ford cars from the 70s and 80s. I believe this is meant to represent a Dodge Charger. Since that set's come out, we've got cars for Miles Morales, we've got cars for Venom's recently got a new car as well, with a few new minifigures we'll be taking a look at later. And Spider-Man also has his own car, though I don't have the set. I do have Gwen with her skateboard and the Venomized Green Goblin as well. But this is looking like more of a Speed Champions lineup than a Marvel set. And these aren't the only sets. These are just the Spider-Man vehicles. We get bikes for Captain America, Black Widow, Tony Stark, of course, needs a handful of cars for his mansion. And I think the reason Marvel are able to do this is because of all the different costumes that we're getting, especially across the Spider-Verse universe. If you're unaware, later this year, we are rumored to be getting, and it is just a rumor, a Spider-Verse CMF from Miles Morales trilogy of movies. I believe the third one was originally meant to come out this year, and there has been a slight delay on it. So I'm not sure if they'll push back the CMF, but I think with the brand new Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show that's come out on Disney Plus, that is wrapping up very, very soon, we could also get a CMF from that. You see, that show does have a load of other classic costumes, and there are so many references to other comic versions of Spider-Man through both that and the Spider-Verse movies that we could definitely get two CMFs, one now with some costumes from that show to fill in for the third Spider-Verse movie. And then by the time that movie comes out, I'm sure we've got a load of other costumes brought to us in the comics and the games that we could get to fill out that CMF. So personally, I would love two Spider-Man CMFs and would probably be picking up the both of them. But I'm sure Lego will probably wait and just give us the one for now. Whilst we're speaking on Spidey and Venom, Venom has a bike, has a car, and I'm pretty sure probably has another like helicopter in a set from a few years ago. But what on earth is this little build from the recent Marvel magazine. This is meant to come with 3 Venom heads, but as I'm using one of my minifigures already, I've taken the heads off my Venomized Green Goblin and Doc Ock, which I think looks even creepier. In researching what this is meant to be, and this is just some sort of giant Venom monster, I found this polybag that has 5 heads and is even bigger. This wasn't in a magazine, this was an official polybag, which is why they had a few more bricks to work with. But what on earth are these? This is nightmare fuel. Like I said, I've taken the heads off my Venomized Doc Ock, which actually came in the same set as this Spider-Man bike, and Green Goblin came in the same set as Spider-Man's car and Gwen on her skateboard. But I do have a second Venom minifigure. Perhaps we should restore these heads. And something really cool about these Venomized heads is the fact that one side is fully Venomized and the other side is only half Venomized. So in the case of Doc Ock, you've got half Venom and half of Doc Ock's head, which just makes them look even creepier. But taking my duplicate of a Venom minifigure and giving them white hands, I wonder if you could guess which character it is I am trying to make here, because I also have a duplicate of Black Widow's hairpiece, and putting that on the character, we're that step closer to getting a custom black suited Spider-Woman, which comes in one of the brand new sets. I think it's actually Venom's muscle car. As you probably know here, I do like collecting my Spider-Man minifigures, so having that extra one, I'll have to 3D print some black and white legs for this minifigure, and I also think some dual molded black and white arms could take this minifigure to the next level, but that's definitely a fine addition to my collection. Back to the series, I have been watching along My Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I think it's really fun and fills that gap where recently we've got X-Men 97 continuing on from the 90s X-Men show, and similar shows like Clone Wars and the animated Batman series, which came out a bit before Clone Wars. But in a time where we don't have any towels for Star Wars, there are still quite a few Marvel animations that they're keeping up on, and a few other companies are noticing there is a gap for animation. So we're getting some Star Trek animations. I think even The Boys has an animated series. And it's really nice to be getting these animations because it's so much easier to give different costumes in animation as opposed to trying to make them all for a set movie or a 6-episode series. Just before we move on and talk about minifigures, I would like to point out that Lego have you stud all 4 studs down on your minifigure legs into these vehicles. Please, for the sake of cracking, do not do this. I've taken a 2x2 tile with 2 studs on them and positioned the studs on the bum cheeks of our Lego minifigures, which is the proper way to do it without worrying about your minifigures cracking, because there is an incomplete stud at the back. So through cold temperatures and through any other extraneous variables, you shouldn't have to worry about minifigure legs cracking, because who wants to do that? But not only have I done it with the Spider-Man bike Venom, I've actually gone a step further, replaced the 2x4 plate with 2 1x4 tiles with the studs on either ends, the modified plates or tiles, if you will. And you might be wondering how I've secured Venom on. Well, we get handlebars for the bike for a reason, and I've just clipped Venom's left hand on the left handlebar. As for Ghost Rider, you do have just enough space, which surprised me that you could get a 2x2 modified plate tile in the bottom and still get Ghost Rider looking out of his window, though it is a bit more trickier to fit it in flush with the back of the car. And this is possible for all your Lego builds, so if you don't want to worry about cracking, and if you want more information, I'll leave a video on the end screen for you about when we discovered this in a minifigure display. But definitely for all your vehicles, go have a quick check. These studs are fine. For Gwen over here on the skateboard, it's just those 2 stud connectors at the bottom of the legs. They're meant for display, definitely not for play. I am hopeful that we'll get news on the Spider-Man Spider-Verse CMF very soon, and you can bet on it that I'll be reviewing at least a handful of them here on the channel. Speaking of which, stay tuned for the CMF review that might be coming out at the same time as this video. And don't worry, when these reviews are over, we'll be getting back to Star Wars MOCs very soon. Whilst we're waiting for the Spider-Verse CMF, we picked up 3 of the latest Series 27 minifigures, though there will be a complete wave review at the end of this segment. And the 3 minifigures we picked up, for those of you that might not have seen, are the pterodactyl, the hamster, and the Wolfpack Beastmaster. Of course, I had to pick up the Wolfpack being a Star Wars fan. Not only are we going to be taking a look at the minifigures today, we actually have some sort of builds for each of these. So let's start off with the Pterodactyl, which is my favorite. What feels like forever ago, I picked up these slide elements off the Pick-a-Brick wall, which are really, really cool because you can take your minifigures and slide them down. It's pretty self-explanatory. But I knew when picking these up that one day I would get the chance to use these in some sort of custom. And I'll be completely honest, I was expecting to use these in my Lego City, which I think would be really cool, getting from one floor to the next using a Lego slide. But today, I reveal that mock is in fact a Jurassic Park mock. Get it? Growing up, I used to love going to the local parks. We had quite a few near my house, and I've tried to pull on all of my childhood experiences to make what I feel like is the concise but ultimate park for our dinosaur CMF minifigures. If you aren't aware, there are now 3 dinosaurs that we can pick up from CMFs. We have the Triceratops, which is climbing the little blue rock wall to get to the slide. The T-Rex has to be the king of the castle at the top of this play park. And the Pterodactyl perhaps can be sitting on the swing, which does in fact swing using an official Lego rope. As you can see, it's a bit hard to get a minifigure on there to at least stay on the swing, but definitely a few studs can do the trick. What I'm more interested in, however, is the slide on the other side that we can sit our dinosaurs in and watch them go from the top to the bottom. And as always, with these childhood slides, go flying off the bottom of the ramp or get stuck on it on a hot summer's day when it absolutely burns you. I had so much fun building this and reliving those childhood memories, so I'm definitely going to keep this one built in the background. This is only the first minifigure we got, however. As the second one, we're going to go with the hamster. For the hamster, I've rebuilt this Sonic play feature from a year or 2 ago, where you bash down on the top of this and Sonic usually is the one that goes rolling. However, in the wheel, we're going to fit the hamster, because if you do have a hamster, chances are you will have at least seen a hamster wheel at some point. And I think this play feature is also perfect for our CMF hamster costume. This isn't an actual hamster, of course not. It's a Lego minifigure, but this is a person in a hamster costume. So I think they're going to have just as much fun rolling across the desk in the wheel. And I'll try and get some better shots and angles to show you on screen as well, because this is another play feature like that Yoshi bike you can just sit here and have so much fun with for hours on end, and is really, really satisfying, even though it's built with Lego pieces. Next up, we have the Wolfpack Beastmaster. I think you all know the angle I'm going to take, but I'm going to spin a little curveball to start off with. I own 5 out of the 6 Phoenix crew members that are displayed usually around my Ghost. And now that we've got an official wolf element, well, I'm sure this isn't the first wolf we've got, but this is a really, really cool wolf. I can finally add Kanan Jarrus to the collection. Massive, massive spoiler alert for the end of Rebels, by the way. So I'll give you time to click off this video and come back once you've watched the show. But towards the end, when Kanan is no longer with us, he seemingly goes into the Force and is able to show up back to Ezra in a wolf form, which is very, very poetic, not just for Star Wars, but also for some of the themes we see throughout Rebels. And using this in a micro scale, stud scale, because the wolf that Kanan shows up as is absolutely massive and would need one of the bigger brick built structures like the wolf from the Cullen house, just in a different color. But if you were to build the Ghost crew in micro fashion with 2 or 3 studs stacked on top of each other, Zeb's definitely going to need a third one. This wolf would be perfect for that sort of display. So that's the reason this wolf is probably going to stick with this Ghost crew, and I do have a 6-wide minifigure display that I can add them to. But now let's take a look at the actual Wolfpack minifigure. Straight away, your mind goes to one of 2 things. It's either to the Lego Castle theme or to Star Wars The Clone Wars Wolfpack Troopers, which was the Legion under Master Plo Koon, who again is another minifigure we're hoping to see later this year. I do have these 2 custom Wolfpack minifigures from Filoni Clones. I don't think Lego will be giving us anytime soon, if at all. There are so many other Legions we could get different variants of clones for, Lego tend to be sticking to quite a few of the more common Coruscant Guard, the 212th, 501st, and though we do have the 187th Legion for Windu, I'm still not quite sure exactly why they gave us those in that one set. I'm not holding out hope for these anytime soon. But going alongside our Wolfpack Beast Master, they don't look too different to each other, considering these are from completely different sides of the galaxy. We've got our space opera with our futuristic clone troopers with their laser blasters, and then we've got our sword and shield wielding medieval knight from some non-castle legion. I think they work quite good in a mock. You could even put 3PO and R2 in the back to act out our favourite Clone Wars scene where they go on a spiritual journey. Even droids aren't getting away with that one. But if you did want to make some castle mock, I would also love to let you know that right now the Lion Knights are on the build a minifigure wall. Chances are most of the pieces have already been taken down. But if you're lucky enough to live somewhere that doesn't have a really popular Lego store, or a Lego store at all, because there's not one near me, then definitely head over to your build a minifigure, grab up some of these from the CMF wall, and add some Lion Knights to build your own castle factions, or expand them if you're already started collecting. I personally would love to get my hands on some of the Lion Knights and make a little mock out of these, so hopefully I can pass a Lego store soon. But I'd love to get some official Wolfpack troopers in Star Wars. Perhaps we need a CMF. Even though these are the 3 CMFs that we've picked up for ourselves, there are a total of 12 in this series, not like 16. If you've missed the last couple, we are down to 12 minifigures for each of these CMF lines, but it's really nice that we're getting like 3 a year, so I'm not going to complain. Other notable mentions for these CMFs are the Astronomer that comes with a prosthetic arm, which I think is really cool. They've bought it over from Friends. I believe it's a very similar, if not the same element, but does come with an exclusive minifigure arm that I'm sure we'll be seeing, especially across licensed themes like Star Wars and Marvel very, very soon. We've also got a pirate and a steampunk creator. We've got Cupid. We've got a longboarder, which does have a fairly cool looking board element. We've got a jetpacker, which can be used to upgrade some of your clone troopers. And we've also got a minifigure and a onesie, which uses a hairpiece that has been seen a lot in Ninjago, but comes with 2 brand new Squishmallow-like Lego pieces, which we see in City and Friends. There's like 5 or 6 of them now. And though these aren't licensed under Squishmallows, I do think they'd also be really, really cool for an updated Porg minifigure, especially with how cute and cuddly they all look. The last 2 minifigures aren't that impressive, and it's a minifigure with a cat jumper and a cat, though it's always nice to get another cat in Lego. And then we also have this beast or monster with a book of monsters, very, very different to the Harry Potter one, but reminds me a lot of the old CMF Minotaur. If you did want to expand on this, you could also pick up some of the Animal Crossing minifigures, which work quite well with this build. But one of the other sets that my fiance has built over Valentine's is the brand new Celeste set. Very, very cheap, only £9, which is nice to see that it isn't increasing to the £12, £15 that we're seeing in other Lego themes. And this isn't the only set that has come out, but this is taking the spotlight of this video because we've got that Celeste minifigure. For those of you that don't know Animal Crossing, thank you so much for watching this video. But those of you that do will know that Celeste is the sister of Blathers, who runs the museum and is the 3rd and final large building that we're yet to see in Lego form. We've got Nook's Cranny, we've got the Able Sisters shop, and finally we're waiting on news for confirmation of Blathers Museum, which I really, really do hope that Lego are working on for a summer release, because that'd be a really good way to wrap up all these Animal Crossing sets. And I fear there may not be as long as some of us are hoping for, but me and my partner do play Animal Crossing. I will admit the villagers are still waiting for my return from a few New Years ago, but perhaps this video will inspire me to pick it up and play it again soon. As far as everything included in this set, it's a very, very small set. We've got a little picnic blanket. We've got one of what looks like the fallen stars. In fact, this whole plate here in blue, which usually represents the water which you can swim in Animal Crossing, looks like a night sky and would also work really, really well if pinned up above the moon. But we've also got a telescope and a tree which adds up to the other plant life and trees we see in the larger build. Celeste herself does come with a book which has an exclusive printed tile 1x2 element of the night sky, looking really cool. And all the parts that make up Celeste's minifigure are exclusive because we've got some toe printing, back printing and arm printing in a £9 set. Really worth your money. This set does combine with the other Animal Crossing sets, which if you haven't seen, each of these sets will come with a 2x4 plate, very similar to the Super Mario line. And here is another set that my fiance built over the Valentine's holiday, Julian's birthday party. She already had the minifigure, but if you connect this 2x4 between the two, you can start to expand and really build on your Animal Crossing island. And all of these sets do look really cool together. I'll show you a bunch of them at the end of this video. Going back to Blathers, I think what could be really cool for the museum is if we got a front to the museum with perhaps a few dinosaur skeletons that pop out the back, or if Lego didn't want to give us dinosaur skeletons and wanted to really flush out some minimalistic interior to this museum, perhaps we're overdue for another creative 3-in-1 of dinosaur fossils, which would go really well with Animal Crossing, unsponsored. But Lego and us would all know what they're trying to do. We haven't seen too many reused head molds in Animal Crossing, so this could just be a pure coincidence and Lego were giving us the head mold to make customs of Blathers, which if we don't get in the summer, I fear I might have to do. But not only is this set not alone in 2025 releases so far, on the back of the box it does say it is customizable because each of these segments can be replaced. You can really mix it up with the rest of your island. Because we didn't buy this straight from the Lego store, we are still getting plastic bags, but I do have to say, apparently all Lego store shops in at least Europe and eventually, hopefully very soon, the rest of the world are switching over to paper bags. At the back of the instructions, you can see all of the other sets that come out alongside this one, only two. The Able Sisters clothing store, which is one of, I believe, 3 big NPC run stores alongside Nook's Cranny that we got last year. Maybe we'll have to wait till next year for Blathers Museum, but I think it would work really well as a summer wave as they're running out of builds for Animal Crossing New Horizons. There's a few that I would love to see them do, and alongside both of these sets, we also got a nice little caravan, a few more of the villagers to go alongside with them all. But even the villagers, they're running low. Something I've also just noticed is the green of Julian's birthday is slightly brighter than the green of all of the sets coming out 2025. And that's quite nice because through different seasons in Animal Crossing, the grass will be looking a little different, and this just adds a bit of variation to your island, like we'll see with the floors of Minecraft sets. I believe Julian's birthday party was about a £10-20 set, so we'll say about £15, and this was only £9, so £30 of Animal Crossing does feel a bit more than £30 of another theme. Even taking a Star Wars ship, which I know is probably not the best thing for comparison, at least on the Star Wars side, it's going to make this look really cool. We've got a £35 ship in Jedi Bob Starfighter, which I have completely redone to make a dark side Jedi Bob, or Darth Lan, as we agreed the name would be. And though this ship does feel massive, it takes up about 75% of the width of this island, and there are still a few different little bits dotted around. So Animal Crossing is really feeling like a worthwhile theme, even though the price to piece isn't there. The similar style to the Mario sets and the fact that it bolts up quite nicely, again similar to the Minecraft theme as well, though Minecraft definitely has the edge on this, being completely brick built. Feels really nice. I did say that my partner does have more Animal Crossing sets, so let's go to the other room and take a look at all of them on display. It's been a little while since I've shown off this shelf in our other room, but this is where all the Animal Crossing Lego goes that my fiance's got. And as you can see, Celeste's, I can't remember what this set is called, and Julian's birthday party has been integrated with the rest and actually fills up this little, I think it's a spice rack that we got. Fairly cheap and really nice for displaying Mario and Animal Crossing sets because of the small shelves. Also really good for brickheads as well. And both of these sets fit really well with the other Animal Crossing wave. You can see the slight green change on Julian's, but again, I think it adds a bit of depth to this set. You can also get a beach set, which of course will be tan rather than green, but also works really well with a lot of these. This isn't the last Animal Crossing set we are going to get. Just showing off the rest of the shelf now. So we will have to expand this and perhaps get another one alongside this. But whilst we're here, I might as well show you where all of the other Lego and the massive 4x4 unit has gone from the other studio, because we moved that out, rearranged it. It's looking really, really cool. And there is a video if you are interested in that sort of thing, of the whole process from start to end. So you can see a really nice before and after. But this is the room where all the other Lego has gone. You can see BD1, Hogwarts, Disney Castle. Let's take a closer look. You probably recognize the Harry Potter world that we built not too long ago. And now all of the other sets as well have a bit more breathing room. Really, really like this sorting hat back here.
There's nothing hidden in your head the sorting hat can't see.
I don't think I've heard that one before.
I will tell you where you ought to be.
Hopefully the mic picked that up. That was really, really interesting. I don't think I've heard that line before, but I really like all of these spread out. And still the mechanisms on Hedwig. And we've even turned this Hungarian Horntail into a Minoc on the channel previously for, I think that was for an Empire Strikes Back. Maybe that was last year ahead of the anniversary this year. But really, really big fan of the mechanism. If you haven't seen it before, I'll try and do it one-handed. There we go. The wings do flap up and down. It looks a bit cooler when you've got two hands to spin it round, but we always try to display them with the wings open. If you can balance it there, they do look pretty cool. And besides that, all of the Lego you've already seen before on a few different videos on the channel. It's been integrated with a few plants, hello there, that are ready to grow this spring. And it really does look really cool. Especially with our custom Hogwarts display, we definitely need something like this over in Star Wars. To go with the Animal Crossing display, another set that always looks good on display, any of these Lego Creator 3-in-1s are really, really well. So today we're going to be taking a look at the camera. There's a few things we've already spoken about, like these film reels that you do get 2 of in this set. And straight away, I would like to point out that these are 6 stickers that come in the set. They're not printed tiles, and perhaps that makes them a little bit better for transparency, like a proper film reel. I actually have an authentic film reel from Star Wars Empire Strikes Back here of R2-D2 aboard the Falcon, and though these don't look exactly like a film reel would, there is definitely from the back some similarities which I think are pretty cool. I've also shone my phone's flashlight through the back of these, and I've tried it through the front. It doesn't work whatsoever, but when shone through the back of these window panes, they're just 2x1 by 2 brick tall window panes with the stickers on the outside. It does look pretty cool up close to a wall, and you can kind of see what they're meant to represent, but the real satisfaction comes in the actual camera itself. This might not look as satisfying as it feels, but for some reason, there's 4 clicks in a full circle. This is just a pin going into the camera. There's nothing on the inside. This is one of the most satisfying Lego builds I have played with. One of the most satisfying play features I've played with probably since the Yoshi bike launcher earlier this week. And I cannot explain why, but that is so satisfying. There's also a few other features, like you can flick this switch here. You can twist this gear like you are twisting the spool inside the camera, which is same what this handle is used for. And this red pin doesn't push in. It would have been really cool if Lego found a way to push this pin in and get it to stick back out, but it just doesn't work. One of the other many features this camera has is the fact that the handle is almost impossible to open first time. But once you can get it open, you can reveal the other spool and actually change that out for this first one that we had on the side. One of these is a safari with a little camper van, giraffe and butterflies, and the other is more of an at-home style of video, or photos in this case, with roller skates, a bike and a dog, all of which are other Creator 3-in-1 sets or other Creator builds that we can see and currently buy from Lego stores. So really, really cool advertising. I feel like this spool is more so on the builder's side of thinking, because this second spool with the other Creator 3-in-1 sets is a lot more blocky and looks brick built compared to the other ones that could genuinely be some low quality images. Anyway, closing this up, we get a bit of material in this set. which is really soft, really nice. It's not fluffy or anything, but it's just a nice soft fabricy piece to go around your wrist, so that if you do drop this camera, even the Lego build, it can probably hold its weight, though don't try this too much. The piece itself came in a really chunky case box, which is always interesting to see some brand new elements, and it does have these 2x2 Lego stud design all the way around from one side to the other in a repeating pattern of colors. But I think this just adds a bit of color to what's otherwise quite a dark black and gray set. Even the alternate builds, which do come with different instructions in this set. And though I haven't checked, usually there's also a fourth build for some of these creator sets online. So it's worth, if you do have any of the creator 3-in-1s, have a little look, see if there is a fourth build on lego.com. A lot of these are quite blacks and greys, which is why they make use of a bunch of different colorful elements inside the camera build, similar to any of the Star Wars ships, which adds a nice variety of color, especially when these are in the bags before you start your build. It looks a lot more colorful than it actually is. Well, I guess it actually is that colorful. But not only does this have a few funny features, you can see through the camera with a 1x2 panel piece in a translucent clear, and that is repeated just near the front. I would have loved to have seen an exclusive element, or perhaps a piece they could use in other sets that just widens that and gives you the proper effect of a camera, because looking through this you don't get the exact same effect, and it shows you just a little portion of what is far away. It's like looking through just a hollowed out 1x2 brick. But this is a really fun set. Like I said, so satisfying to wind this up. So if you've been considering it, I'd say go for it. We got this half price with a £2 voucher off. Absolutely amazing deal. And if you live in the UK, check it out, see if your Morrison still has any stock, because that's where we found it, half price. That's been all for this review. If you would like to see the other two builds, they do upload images to lego.com, but I think my partner likes his camera up too much to break it down. Usually when we build Lego sets here on the channel, we really like the builds and have bought it because of the way it looks, or maybe a few pieces inside. And that is true for most of the sets that I show off on this channel. Unlike this heart ornament, which originally we weren't going to pick up because we didn't really like the look of this. Now, as opposed to something like the Creator 3-in-1 camera, there's no play features. This is purely decorative. And I picked this up because it's a really cool parts pack for all the flowers that come with it. And as you saw in the thumbnail, makes a really cool Felucia MOC. After building it, it's not as blocky as it looks in the photos, especially having this on the wall displayed above my fiance's pin collection. It looks a lot better than the images on lego.com and any other product placement that we've seen for this set. Being a display set, I don't think Lego have really pushed this, so the images are probably only the ones we've seen on lego.com, but all the flowers and the combinations of different flower elements mean this is really cool for building a Felucia MOC. For instance, that thumbnail that you saw is quite literally this set, plus a custom Commander Blind minifigure, plus a random Stormtrooper holding a lightsaber, because I'm yet to own an Ayla Secura minifigure. Hopefully we'll be getting both a Bly and Ayla Secura later this year in quite a cheap Lego set, but there is mixed rumors on what that's meant to be. So if you would like to check out some more custom clones, I have a ton of videos on the channel showing where you can get them. But like I said, the flower backdrop works really well for any sort of Felucia MOC or any build that requires quite a few flowers. If you're building a flower shop, if you're building any sort of modular and just want to add a few more flowers to the balcony, or maybe even inside the modulars, add in a few more flowers, the parts pack that is this heart ornament is really cool. You do get a hook to hang your heart, which again is another element that's really useful for making your own MOCs. You get a ton of leaf elements, the 2x2s and the slightly bigger like 2x3 or 3x4 leaf elements. Quite a few of these Demogorgon-like heads, which are slightly bigger than the actual headpiece themselves. Not to be confused with that element that does genuinely come in some of the botanical plants. But the bigger element that you could have found in dark pink as recently as the Pick-a-Brick wall over the last couple of years. You get 2 different shades of that, a million different shades, what feels like a million. Not actually a million, but what feels like a million different shades of the flowers, and a load of red hinges, and red elements make the entire base of this model with a nice white backdrop, which goes really nicely against a white wall, but also helps it to stand out against any different dark colored wall, which I'm sure would look just as nice. Now, there's not actually too much to say about this because this is a decoration, but definitely if you are looking at taking some really nice background photos, having this on the side, using the plants like I did for the thumbnail is going to look really, really cool. And that is one of the main reasons we're probably going to keep this built, as well as the fact it looks really, really cool on display. Today's video is all about this race car and car carrier. Looking at this set, I thought this too would be really, really cool for a mock build. And I actually got 2 of these sets for my Bricklink store, which never took off. So I was able to build this race car off Rebrickable. But we'll take a little look at that later because the set does have quite a bit to offer. The tops of both these vehicles do come off in city fashion, but I have found that the 2 red plates and the black 1x2 tile tend to come off with the roof. It's not a problem, but they're not held down very, very well. We get 2 minifigures with this set, which is nice getting 2 of them because you'll find out that the driver for the second vehicle is actually a combination of these 2 minifigures. Just simply swapping the head and hairpiece creates 2 brand new characters. The minifigure with the flat cap is sporting the exact same logo as on the racing costume in the car and also found at various points around the vehicle. Just before we do get into any of the specific details for both of these models, I would urge you, please do consider adding a 2x2 half tile and half plate element into your cars because again, Lego City stud them down on all 4 studs, and just to really minimize that risk of your minifigure legs cracking, chances are you're not going to be trying to fit your exclusive Star Wars minifigure in the front, but just to save any of your minifigures from cracking, make sure the studs are into the bottoms of the minifigures, and that goes for both the truck, the car, and also the mock we'll be taking a look at later on. The minifigure fits in even with that plate with enough headroom, and I like the pattern of the roof of the truck because the car just uses one of those 4x4 car bonnets. The truck's is completely brick built, which is really, really nice to see. But the car getting on the truck, well, there's a little sloped back. It's not down far enough for the car to drive straight up on it. So that is why Lego have included a little play feature, a little bit of Technic in the center of this truck, as well as supporting the wheels at the bottom, which enables the car to drive fairly smoothly up on it, and then also to stay on the back of this using some very, very clever triangle tile elements that go up, not on the wheels of the car, which is how I used to keep cars on the back of these trucks, but actually on the front guard. It hooks on that on all 4 wheels and enables the car to defy gravity when going up this ramp. There's quite a few stickers in this set, and for the mock I used the second half of the sticker sheet, but the stickers do just add the extra bit of detail which goes well with these brand new hubcaps on the wheels, which give the illusion of some printing on the actual rubber tires themselves. And I hope we see this across some of the more common Lego sets in the near future because this allows us to see some crossovers in different brands supporting different racing teams. This isn't the first racing team we've got in Lego, but I believe the OWL logo is similar to an esports team that we've had even show up in our Lego CMF. So it's nice to see some repetition there. We've got the OWL just on the front of the lorry and on both sides of the spoiler of both this car and again, the mocked version that I found off Rebrickable. I'll give credit to the builder in the description because I've completely forgotten their name, but it is a really, really fun build. So let's pull that out and take a look at it compared to the original Lego model because the car doesn't look too similar, too different. It looks very, very similar to the original Lego model, but the big difference is in the actual features of the car. This is a car, it goes vroom vroom, and that is all. Whereas a lot of the Lego sports cars have had detachable bumpers and spoilers, so you can mix and match them similar to how they advertise the Marvel mechs. So what this user on Rebrickable has done is added that feature with a few handful of extra pieces, as well as taking some pieces from the lorry and given us not only the detachable bumper at the front with a slightly updated style compared to the one that comes in the Lego set, but also the spoiler that pops off, so you can mix and match these with your other Lego City speed cars, though my favorite is putting them on backwards and just seeing how funky it looks. Something both of these cars have, and they do it really, really well, are these little guards that we've seen in a handful of Star Wars sets to garnish some of the larger Star Wars vehicles and also act as some barricades in the cheaper sets. But they're really, really nice because they create this nice aerodynamic look and are so satisfying to rub your finger down. Like I said, with the stickers, there are a handful of stickers, 4 of them on the main body of the truck, 2 on each of the sides here, because the dial on the cockpit and the interior in the driver's seat, it's not a Star Wars vehicle. Oh look, the tiles have stayed down, is printed. And because I did get a second set, I suppose you could use that element and try to fit it in the modified vehicle, but there's not a lot of room for a second one to be included. On these cars, we've got another printed sticker on either side, which is slightly recessed. An odd choice, though I have tried fixing that by adding a 1x4 plate in between the tile and the brackets, and it does look a little better this way. And then we also have a sticker on the top of the car, but I really like how they've got the spoiler just sticking up, and we do have one of each of the minifigures in the car, so perhaps these two can be racing. If you were wondering if this mock does fit on the back of the lorry, well, kind of. As it is, if you try to fit it on the back of the lorry and then you lift up the ramp, yeah, well, I guess that's not going anywhere. Originally, it would slide around. There you go. If you try to move it, it does move because these triangles hook into the stud holes on the bottom of the car and don't provide that much grip. There are 2 ways you can fit this car on the back of the truck. The first one is just by removing the bumper at the front and hooking it on like the other car. It does enable it to stay and absolutely defy gravity. And the other method is a bit more easier and looks a bit better, keeping the bumper on. We have a stud just behind all 4 of these triangles or pyramids, and by moving them just simply one back, we now have the space at the front to hook the car with the bonnet still attached. And again, third time lucky, it's again defying gravity. So this isn't perfect, and if you lean it too far back, the car will fall off. But I think the feature that the car actually hooks on to the back, especially whilst the ramp is in its load-in position, is really, really cool, and a nice feature if you are going to be playing with this model. Again, I'll leave the rubricable, at least the name of the rubricable file that I found for this car in the description. But by moving the pyramids back, you don't affect the playability with the original model. Now, as for whether I'll be keeping this build, it is pretty cool, but we're not a massive fan of cars. I see 8 wheels in this and think it could definitely turn into some miniature turbo tank. There's not a load of pieces for mocking this out, but there is a load of tiles and different angled plates. And like I said, we do have the Technic core just at the bottom of this truck, which provides quite a nice bit of support for any more fragile builds that plates otherwise wouldn't be able to hold up. So I'm definitely looking at this from a Star Wars mock perspective. There's not a lot that can be done, but there's definitely something to be done with all of the wheels included in this set. So keep an eye out for that. But chances are this will probably be broken down at some point for all of the slope elements. And we also do get with the mock 2 of those 1x2 clip elements that hold the invisible hand together and are really useful in different Star Wars sets. If you did have 2 of these trucks, it'd be interested to see if you could make this a double-deckered truck. Though having built the actual set and all the technique used to get this ramp to move backwards, you're not going to be able to do that for the second car just by using another set. I'm happy that I've built it, but this set probably isn't going to last long on my shelves. If you've managed to make it through this entire video, props to you, because this is just a fraction of what we built over Valentine's, and there are going to be a load more Lego Star Wars sets and mocks coming to this channel very soon. But thank you so much for watching this video. Again, shout out to our brand new member Ice Excel for joining the channel members and the Discord. And don't forget, this shirt is running for a limited time, so check it out if you would like to purchase it. You can find the link just below this video, and may the bricks be with you always.